literally Fortnite Gangster Party. This is awful. Oh my god, bro. What happened? This game is like taking a bad YouTube sponsor. You kinda don't read into it too well and you go, okay, whatever. Only to then look into what actually is going on with this thing and you're like, oh no. So you try pulling out the last minute, only to then realize the game won't actually let you. Because you already, you know, spent $1 million on the Ultimate Edition. Life is Strange Double Exposure is a complete narrative disaster. In a way that me, someone who straight up doesn't like the franchise, is forced to just sit there with his jaw completely dropped on the floor. I will say it did make me appreciate the original game a little bit more, or more accurately, it was so dog shit, it made me kind of reevaluate the first one a little bit. A game that I infamously do not like. I know Life is Strange fans are kind of wary on the series after the first one, but usually on Steam they range in the positive territories. Not Double Exposure though, a mixed reception. So again, I gotta ask, what the hell happened? Well, don't you worry your little head, because I'm going through this whole goddamn thing. So let's jump in this mosh pit, Shaka, brah.
Hey, I was gonna put a flashy intro here, but I don't care enough to do that.
Chapter 1. So the moment the game begins, you already find one massive problem, which is that the game is optimized like garbage. I was playing this thing on an RTX 3080 Ti at high settings at 1440, and my shit was somehow still struggling. On top of that, the game stutters like a motherfucker. You could put me around a 5 E-thoughties and I would stutter less.
Room for one more?
So all the weird hitching you see is not just you, it's also me.
Do you have any relationship with
Proper optimization.
What's that?
The answer is fuck no LMIO by our shitty new overpriced GP.
This game was released on the Nintendo Switch, by the way, and just imagining that version is like a nightmare scenario. Anyways, the game opens on Max Caulfield. Yeah, she's back now. That's the big selling point this time around. Max is back, with the game introducing her grand return like it's a big boss in MGS5.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Except Max was never really that interesting, so I have trouble taking this seriously. But more importantly, Life is Strange 1 was pretty conclusive, and don't nod, the devs of Life is Strange 1 and 2 made it pretty clear, I think, that digging it back up would be the wrong direction. I mean, honest to God, what more could you be able to tell? Like, my thoughts on the game aside, you might as well make, I don't know, 17 again too. It just feels so conceptually desperate. Like, hey everyone, Life is Strange 1 is now 10 years old, so please, God, buy our game out of nostalgic interest. My point is that bringing back Max Caulfield does not feel like a creative decision, but rather a business decision. But you know what? That's just front cover caution. The game itself, of course, has to justify its own existence, which it doesn't, by the way. But okay, back to the game itself. So it's established that Max is now an urban explorer who just broke into an abandoned bowling alley.
Urban exploration is kind of my thing.
Is it? I don't remember that in the first game.
I can't see a busted old place and simply not go into it.
You know, at first I felt like this was out of character for Max, until I realized that I couldn't tell you what would be in character for Max to do. We're also introduced to Safi, a brand new character. She's kinda like Chloe, but way more boring. Anyways, I'm sure you all have a couple questions already. First of all, is the dialogue better?
Foot pics? Foot pics?
No. Also, Max's performance is,
I'm 9 years late for my free slice of za.
it's not great. Okay, well, actually, it does get better as the game goes on. But in this first chapter, it's just so stilted and weird. Like I'm playing as Dora the fucking Explorer.
Edgy. I could never resist a deal. Is this seizing the means of production?
Are you alone here, Eddie?
This is, of course, assuming you can actually hear the dialogue and don't get any weird audio bugs like I did.
I told you this place was the portal to hell. Behold, a devil.
I am under the water. Please help me.
We then abruptly cut to some bar, and the urbexing thing is never brought up again. What is brought up, though, is Chloe Price, where the game essentially asks you which ending you got in the first game. Now, normally, I'd choose the good ending, the one where Chloe fucking dies. However, this time I chose the other ending, and the reason is goddamn hysterical. Because at this point, Chloe and Max have broken up, meaning that if you did save Chloe, you essentially wasted your time, and it makes the impact of Max and Chloe being together completely nullified. To fans, this is, of course, a complete slap in the face, but to me, it's absolutely hilarious. There's a part where you can read Max's diary, and just, you get to this giant page that says, "She left me." My friends and I just had to sit there for 15 minutes just laughing at this shit.
Dude, I'm watching the stream while you try not to laugh, bro. That's disrespectful as shit, bro. The fuck is wrong with you, bro? Stop fucking laughing, bro.
Even funnier is that Chloe is actually technically in the game still, where you can read her social media posts and shit. And Max even mentions how she's just out partying or something.
Chloe's probably partying.
Do you ever clean your raggedy bitch ass up?
So Max and Chloe are clearly still in contact, and the game's still winking and nudging you that Chloe is still around in the universe, but the game never does anything with her aside from fucking cameos. It's like the writers went to the Metal Gear Solid 4 school of fan service and somehow flunked the first test. And at first I'm like, okay, maybe it's because Ashley Birch was busy with Lego Horizon Adventures or whatever. Except they bring back the Chloe voice actress from Before the Storm to do a flashback scene of the first game's ending.
No matter what you choose, I know you'll make the right decision.
Who the fuck is Giga Nick?
So you go as far as to bring back one of Chloe's VAs to record lines for a game she wasn't even in.
Man, what the fuck you doing here?
But yet you knowingly don't bring her back? And reminder, I hate Chloe as a character, but you can't just waste the fan base's time like this. Although counterpoint, it is very funny when the game does this.
She'd pick up from me.
There's Mr. Raspberry Jam.
Whoa! Whoa! Now, Mr. Raspberry Jam, he died a noble death.
In Chloe's place, though, we do get Amanda, a love interest who barely has any actual impact on the plot and is incredibly boring. Here's her personality traits. She's a comedian. This is because she told me that she does stand-up comedy at one point.
My buddy Henry and I were co-headlining a comedy night. Holy shit, you do comedy?
All the stars are here.
Unfortunately, her in-game Twitter posts imply otherwise. King Arthur to the Knights of the Round Table. Men, we write at dawn. Knights cheering. King Arthur opens his eyes in bed. The sun is out. Okay, well, we write at 10:30 then. King Arthur leisurely peruses the castle breakfast bar. I know what I said, Brian. We ride when we ride. There was no knight named Brian.
Make me cringe.
She's also a lesbian because she tells me she is a lesbian, with the same kind of cadence as a Norm Macdonald joke.
Nobody knows grosser pickup lines than a small town lesbian.
Well, I guess the biggest thing that nobody knows about me is I'm a deeply closeted gay man.
What?
Otherwise, she has very little in terms of personality, and the few traits that could lead to one end up not being relevant at all, as again, this character is not actually important to the story whatsoever. She's a boring character I'm not even obligated to care about. We are, however, introduced to Moses, a character who is important, but also very boring. This will be a trend. The only notable thing about Moses is that he is a science teacher and likes science, I think. And once again, there's Safi, who's a bit snarkier than Moses, but overall just as boring. I think the issue is, right off the bat, these characters are so overtly nice to each other. It's kind of the same problem the new Dragon Age has, where all the characters are witty in like a million quotation marks.
Eek, why am I not at home wrapped up in a blanket burrito right now?
But there's no immediate flaws or anything, they all just get along. It weirdly enough makes the characters too likable. Now, Life is Strange 1 had the exact opposite problem, where its cast was full of just absolute fucking assholes. But at the very least, I remembered these characters in the first game. In Double Exposure, I was forgetting these characters' names when they were showing up on the screen.
Mine says, I'm the world's horniest grandma.
Anyway, so Max, Safi, and Moses go outside, where I then pick a skibbity toilet mug because I have no other funny jokes here. All the characters then go home, but then Max starts tweaking out for some reason. And long story short, she sees Safi, who is mysteriously dead. Ooh. Unfortunately, I didn't care about this fuck-ass character. So when she died, my reaction was a very loud, audible, oh, okay. But there's a weird, mysterious wound on her, meaning she was probably murdered. And thus begins the real plot of the game, I suppose. Now, as we got to Max's nice-ass log cabin here, you might have a couple of questions that I can also answer. For one, what is Max doing here? Well, the answer is that she's a photographer in residence at Caledon University, which I'm just now realizing I spent the entire video mispronouncing, as it's actually pronounced Caledon.
I came to Caledon late, mid-year.
Counterpoint, though, I don't care. Okay, cool. Second question, what happened to her rewind powers? Well, after the events of Life is Strange 1, I shit you not, she just stopped using them, and as a result, she just forgot how to rewind time. The answer they gave to her is, I forgot how to use them. Okay, third question, does the dialogue at least get better?
Doing dramatic goth kid grief.
No! Anyways, we meet a character named Reggie, who tells us about the Abraxas Society, a secret society that all the best guys in the school are a part of.
Wait a minute, I just found out someone else is here.
Most notable being its leader, Vin, who is the administrative assistant, and a character you can indeed romance. Would you want to, though?
Kahuna's got a social calendar like a TikTok influencer.
No, as he's, again, yet another boring, unengaging character. Is this like a cast of characters or a wax museum? By the way, you can disregard all of this because none of it is important. We also meet Gwen, a trans woman and a professor of creative nonfiction according to the wiki. And believe it or not, in my opinion, this is the most interesting character in the game. Because as the murder mystery goes on, there is something resembling intrigue with her. And throughout the game, she has something going on. To call it an arc would be a major stretch. But Gwen is a character that I was kind of awake and engaged for, I think.
Bad reputation, twins.
Now, is she actually a good, well-written character?
Breaking and entering queen, right?
The master of unlocking.
Yeah, sorta. Meaning that by this game's standards, she's Arthur fucking Morgan.
Squid Game.
We also meet Yasmin, the president of Kael'din, and Safi's mother, who is important, but sadly not interesting at all. So you can just disregard her for like 5 hours. We also meet Loretta, who is just Victoria from Life is Strange 1, only instead of generic bully, she's now a very nosy wannabe journalist. Anyways, she's not important at all, so you can quickly disregard her. Anyways, we link back up with Moses, who's mourning Safi's death. Unfortunately, because we, the audience, had like 2 minutes to know who she was. A lot of the earnest, sad moments in this end up falling flatter than a pancake. We then go outside and meet Alan Wake, a professor and author who reminds me a lot of Alan Wake from the video game Alan Wake. Man, I should play those games. Too bad I'm playing this instead, though. He's also kind of like Mr. Jefferson, except not a serial killer this time. So, in other words, they just wrote Alan Wake into their game.
Now, how exactly do I want to get under Lucas's skin?
Right. So much for quiet
Are you on
vacation.
your own? What's the deal with the skull?
Ah, you haven't read it, I see. The symbolism is clever, but not lofty.
My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
Anyways, Moses then leaves. However, Max, completely out of nowhere, again gets a brand new power, where she can not only go on Assassin's Creed trailing missions, but she can also see and travel to other dimensions. And by other dimensions, I mean one other dimension. One where, gasp, Safi is alive, and this is where the first chapter ends. Yeah, the first chapter is kind of just one big, massive slog for the most part, where unlike Life is Strange 1, it takes way too long for something to really happen. By the end of the first chapter, I was already clocking out. There are 5 of these, by the way. Chapter 2.
What the fuck is happening?
Oh, I'm saving that clip for later. Okay, so there are 2 realities going on here. One where Safi is dead and one where she's alive. This leads to a major mechanic of this game, which is dimension hopping, in which to solve certain mysteries, you have to hop to the other dimension. And it is kind of a cool mechanic, albeit very simplified, but it is kind of novel going to one dimension and getting some juicy secrets and using that in the other dimension. Despite this, though, this chapter is a complete fucking slog. It's so slow and so fucking boring. So I'll give you the cliff notes because I couldn't be fucked to go scene by scene. So in the alive dimension, a cow skull is thrown to Safi's car. However, spoiler alert, Safi's murder has nothing to do with it. Ah yes, anticlimax, genius writing. Meanwhile, Alan Wake is trying to file a restraining order against Safi in the alive dimension. I would love to tell you more about it, but sadly, it's not important. They even give you a choice during this section, but the story in general plays out the exact same way. So I'm just sitting here with a sense of narrative and nihilism the whole time. There's also a character named Diamond. She's very boring, but she is important at the last minute of the story. There's also some shit involving a girl named Maya, a girl who, come to find out in this chapter, killed herself, but was also best friends with Safi. And this plot point is literally just Rachel Amber in Life is Strange 1. So they're just copy-pasting old plot points and doing them worse. But hey, at least the dialogue gets better, right?
It can be anything, right? Anything but stuff.
No! Eventually we then meet this detective guy here. His name is Villain McBadguy, and his whole thing is that he's an antagonist. He also has the power to say a different name from the subtitles.
Vincent Alderman.
An ender pearl.
He's also blocking the way for us to get Safi's camera, which in this specific moment we need to solve the murder or something. And a very long story short, because most of this shit doesn't matter at all, Moses hid the camera in a safe, but not a literal safe, but rather in a puzzle under the constellation safe, because he's a science guy or something. In between this though, you get a million years of yapping with the other dimension Moses, bringing the pacing to a goddamn screeching halt. I only mention it because the audio mixing in it for some reason is god awful.
You need me to hold something or can I help
somehow.
How is that down like a hot tooth? How is that down like a hot tooth? How is that down like a hot tooth? How is that down like a hot tooth?
Oh, and I can't forget Schrodinger's telescope here, where even when Max is in the dimension it shouldn't be in, she still somehow can't walk past it, even though it doesn't exist. Anyways, Max hits the camera, but then Detective McBadguy comes in, and you have to stealth past them with the best stealth mechanics ever. They're so good, in fact, that if you get caught by him, Max temporarily, out of nowhere, gets her time powers back, and the sequence restarts.
Did I just?
Can I see you as my crush? I will not judge.
So this tells me Max does indeed still have her time powers, but she can't use them because, again, she just forgot. This is never brought up again, by the way. You could have just put a game over screen and this problem wouldn't have been here. This is a narrative problem solved by shuffleboarding in the 40s! We then get to the end of Chapter 2, Thank Christ, and Sophie's MacGuffin camera is investigated by Max and Moses. But then Max discovers a picture of her holding a gun, and don't fuck with the 5, bitch. I have the music! Moses then runs off or something. You can really tell how engaged I am with this game's narrative. So to make sure things aren't too boring, I'll be adding in some kind of jump. What the fuck was that? Chapter 3. Chapter 3. So the mystery of why Max is holding a gun is still up in the air. But then Detective McBadguy comes in.
Hello, Miss Caulfield.
Oh, fuck.
He then grills her with choices that don't matter at all in the story, meaning the only appeal of the game at this point is holding what on the keyboard. Anyways, evil McBadguy sees the photo. However, instead of confiscating it like he should do because he's a detective, he instead just laughs at Max and then leaves. Oh, clever Max, my one weakness, putting something in your pocket. Swiper, no swiping! Wait, why aren't you not? Anyways, eventually Max goes to the crime scene, where the audio overlaps on top of itself.
Couldn't blame him. He's not here. I killed his best friend.
Wow, what an oversight. I hope someone got fired for this. Anyways, we meet Moses, who still doesn't really trust us at all.
So don't do anything stupid.
I deserved that.
Deserve what? You didn't do anything. You were falsely accused. But anyway, she wins Moses back and shows him she has powers. But then suddenly the liquid jelly version of the detective comes out. But before Max and Moses can escape, the real detective comes out. But then in that moment, he sees himself and then touches himself and then he dies. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what happens here. And after I beat the game, I still don't know, because the game, believe it or not, never explains or elaborates on this. I'm not kidding. This character is never mentioned or brought up again. And the reason he dies is never explained whatsoever. They literally wrote some guy, realized they didn't really do anything with him, and their solution to writing him out is literally fucking weeball. Anyway, so more stuff happens. And I think some important stuff happens, but it's told so poorly. It's just a bunch of talking scenes where characters just yap to each other. Maybe I'm just clocked out of these games. We played our own genre! Jesus Christ. Okay, fine. Here's a couple cliff points. So the reason Maya, a character we've never seen before and have no attachment to whatsoever, and who the game does a terrible job building up anyways, killed herself, is because Alan Wake plagiarized her. And also, the cow skull was thrown by Vin. Why did he do it?
That's as much as you get.
Because the writer said a fucking weeball. Now, I know it's dumb to ask this, but does the writing get better through all this?
You cosplaying as a boomer dad today?
Follow-up question, does Playboy Cardi spend time with his children? Maxon goes home, but turns out there's been a break-in. She then goes to her basement and encounters herself? Holy shit, oh my god, something interesting is happening here! The other Max then runs away and we chase after her. Now, is this all convoluted? Sure. But for the first time in this game, I'm actually interested in it. So I will legitimately take what I can get at this point. Max then chases other Max to this frozen lake, and then the lake breaks, and then we save the other Max. But once she does, she then turns into Sophie? What the fuck? Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Sophie is a shapeshifter. You heard that right. That is the plot of the story now. And throughout the game, she's been shape-shifting where convenient. I will say I am more interested now, although I'm not sure if it's for the right reasons. So let me explain what's been going on. So it all began when Maya, the girl who killed herself. And as a result, Sophie wrote about it. However, her book deal then got canceled by Professor Gwen. Now, why did Gwen do this?
I realized it wasn't worth putting Yasmin and Sophie through all that again.
And yeah, that's all you get. So upon finding finding this out, Sophie then shapeshifted into Gwen and started selling drugs to students.
That was you impersonating Gwen and dealing drugs to students.
Now, where did Sophie get these drugs?
Reddit.
So yeah, Sophie's just been revenge arcing it the whole time. And a plot twist with more holes than Swiss cheese. But anyways, Max and Sophie agree they can still expose Alan Wake for killing Maya, which conveniently they can at this Krampus event, which is held at the local college bar. Which, by the way, we fly through like a GoldenEye level. And don't forget, I bond-buggered your sister. Anyway, so we expose Alan Wake, and then Sophie goes on stage and exposes Alan Wake even further. By the way, fun fact, this is the most music! Stop that! But then immediately afterwards, Alan Wake tells Sophie they need to talk. And Sophie does, because these characters have the intelligence of 2 pineapples. Truly, absolutely nothing can go wrong from this.
What's wrong?
My head.
Oh no, I can't believe something went wrong. So what Alan Wake did was tell Sophie the truth, and is now at the original crime scene where she got murdered, and now she's pointing a gun at Yasmin, her mother. Now what did Sophie's mother do? I don't know! I mean, for one, she canceled her book deal. Why did she do this? To protect Sophie. Protect her from what? I don't know. And what does she have to do with Maya's death? Absolutely nothing to my knowledge. Because as far as I'm concerned, the reason that Maya died is still because of Alan Wake over here. And Yasmin's a big crime, apparently, is being an overprotective mother.
The book was just her latest twisted fuckery. She's been doing this for years. Since I was a kid.
Doing what? The game isn't clear about this. I feel like I've missed something here. Either the game is so boring that crucial information just isn't properly communicated, or the writers just went to fucking wee ball and made this shit up as they went along. This might, in fact, be one of the worst plot twists of all time. I'm not shocked because the impact wasn't properly built up, but I am, instead, very confused.
What the fuck is happening?
That's what I'm saying.
On top of all this, though, the storm from Life is Strange 1 is back, because we have no creative ideas anymore, apparently. Sophie then starts tweaking out, I guess. But then Max looks at a photo and does some shit, and the chapter ends.
What up, Reddit?
Chapter 5. So Max is now teleported to the front of the college now, and she heads back up to where we literally just were with Sophie there for no reason. Well, along the way, Max just explains what the game is about.
Which Sophie will be there?
What up, Reddit?
Or the one who hurt so many people. Even herself.
Sophie then hands Max a gun for whatever reason. And that's why the photo of her with the gun exists, I think, even though it's in a completely different position and Max is in different clothing. Or maybe I'm wrong and this isn't it? I honestly have no idea. Sophie then calls Max a cornball.
God, you're such a cornball.
Naruto.
No way he just put in a Naruto reference in there.
However, Max then pulls Sophie into the storm for no reason. And we get what I can only describe as Metal Gear Solid 2, but bad. So a lot of double exposure is just ripping off Life is Strange 1, but worse, right? Sophie is a kind of like a more boring version of Chloe. You got that journalist girl who's just Victoria. Alan Wake is kind of like Mr. Jefferson, but not the Joker. Well, guess what? Surprise! Apparently that was all intentional, I think. Because a big part of Chapter 5 is Max reliving Blackwell Academy, beginning with her waking up in that bathroom from the first game.
This isn't Caledon. This is Blackwell Academy.
I'm not at the beach, this is a bathtub.
Only now Max is the school shooter and Sophie is Chloe. And Max in the back is still Max, but the current Max, I guess. This is followed by the most on-the-nose dialogue ever.
Maybe Sophie's right. Maybe we are cursed. Cursed to relive our worst moments over and over again.
Well, damn, Max, maybe...
I had a chance to save Chloe from this bathroom.
You know, imagine...
And I did. And dozens of people died instead. To my Storm.
Are you done yet?
Joke's on you, Storm. If you don't think I play out this moment in my head every day, then you don't really know me.
Imagine if Silent Hill 2 were written like this.
I miss you so much.
Because you were my wife.
I tried.
To get over killing my wife.
I really did, but I can't.
I can't get over the fact that I murdered my wife. Max then enters the abandoned building from the beginning of the game, probably because reusing the asset would save some money. We also get Silent Hill F at home, which is crazy because that game's not even out yet. And this scene.
Go fuck yourselfie. Never thought I'd hear that again.
Max then hallucinates Mr. Jefferson.
I was 18 when Jefferson trapped me in that chair.
Holy fucking shit, I get
the whole motherfucking world saying shrimp is up.
This video better do well. Speaking of Mr. Jefferson, we get his lines read by Alan Wake's character.
Holy Holy shit. Didn't Jefferson say that to me?
Fun fact, if you listen real closely, you can hear the writers admitting defeat. Max then gets over her trauma very anticlimactically, and we get more lame nightmare shit.
Pretty sure this is that motel in Cleveland.
Wait, I could have met Max and Chloe? No! Now, you may be wondering, how is all this resolved? Well, you see, Max meets up with Safi out of nowhere, who says a thank you to Max for some reason, even though all we've done is be reminded of the first game and take pictures of the other characters. Which, by the way, yeah, also happens throughout this. I didn't really mention it. A counterpoint, I don't care about these fuck-ass characters. What then ensues is a 15 minutes of talking in different locations, all of which are just reused from the rest of the game, which, okay, asset reuse isn't a bad thing, I guess. But my bigger point I'm trying to make here is that this whole conclusion feels rushed and lazy. It feels like, have you ever had like a creative writing project in high school, but you didn't have time to actually finish it, so the story just ends with one of the characters describing a long wall of text where the moral is spelled out to you like you're 7 years old? Yeah, that's what this is like. We then go back to the real world, and we get more dialogue just describing the game's themes to you, but also Safi wants to find more people with powers, and you can either join her or not join her. Now, up until this point, all your actions barely had any actual, consequences, but unlike Life is Strange 1, where everything except the final choice didn't mean anything, Double Exposure does something amazing, where it has the exact same ending no matter what choice you choose. So whether you join Safi or not, you're still left behind, and the game ends with Max giving a lame motivational speech at the bar. So basically, none of your choices matter in this game at all.
I'm not proud of every decision I made.
So why not? None of them mattered anyways. So not only is the ending ultra mega lame doo-doo, but it doesn't even change in a choice-driven game. But if you think that's bad, there is, I kid you not, an MCU-styled after-credits scene where Diamond, a character you probably forgot about, so did I, is having a nosebleed, meaning she has powers. But then Safi, who I thought left already, comes back and is all like, I'm forming the Avengers. And then we cut to black, and in fades the words, Max Caulfield will return. This dumbass game ends with a Marvel Cinematic Universe ending. This is up there with the She Left Me notebook as one of the funniest things that happens in this game. It honest to God feels like a joke, like it's making fun of this kind of thing. It reminded me of that old college humor Nick Fury and other movies sketch.
I like you, Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be your friend. Do you want me to be your friend?
But honest to God, it would... By the way, the video's done. Conclusion. God, I have not had lunch yet. Honest to God, it would shock me if the franchise survived.
What can we expect?
Well, nothing, because it's over.
This game is a disaster. At its most entertaining, it's hilariously contrived, convoluted, and confusing. And at its worst, it's a boring mess that's clearly a cash grab. This game is a slap in the face to Life is Strange fans, which is coming from me, a non-fan. Listen, I hated the first game, but at least I remembered it. I hated all the characters, but I remembered them. I can't even really hate Double Exposure's characters because they're so boring I have trouble remembering them, which in this case is much worse because now I'm not really engaged with the story at all. My point is though, my expectations were low, but Double Exposure shattered that. This is absolutely the worst game in the franchise. The plot is a total mess, the pacing is absolutely atrocious, the characters are completely boring and go nowhere. The only good thing about this game is the facial animations, which I will admit are really good, but not $80 Ultimate Edition good. Speaking of which, I can't forget the exclusive cat content, where if you buy the $90 version, you get a side mission where Max just dicks around with a cat. I'm not fucking around here. $90! If this isn't creative bankruptcy, I don't know what is. Again, it'll be a miracle if Life is Strange survives this one, because this is an absolute disaster. Anyways, I'm gonna play Wheelman instead or something.
What do you do? Milo from Miami.
I'm a wheelman.
Fuck you in the lanes you came with. Me and you ain't on the same shit. You ain't in my lane, bitch. Nah, throw that shit in fifth. Rollie on my wrist. Ay, baby, you a star. I'm my only wish. I'm counting blue hundreds. I'm too money. Ay, and my little bitch, she too lovely. Yeah, hanging up and calling me right back. Ay, baby, why you calling me like that? Yeah, getting high with the seat laid back. Baby, gon' relax, yeah. words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn, hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Yeah, we could fight, but the feeling's gone. I try to find the words, but they never come. I can still see you on the lawn, hey, laying outside in the summer sun. Hey, I'm with a dark-skinned girl on a Sunday, that's that Black Sabbath. She put them ones all down on a Hyundai, yeah, she had to have it. Baby, that's the facts, yeah, that's the facts, yeah.
World is a fuck.
My life is a fuck.
Why do people join Abraxas?
Abraxas, hydroplane.
Streets ready for this shit right here. Fuck niggas ain't learned that.
Oh, better yet, maybe Tanisha will call your dog ass if she ever stop fucking with that brain surgeon, the lawyer she fucking with.
Wheelman.
What? This year's Caledon University artist in residence sent my mom.
Wheelman.
Do you really think I'm the kind of girl who would just send
Wheelman.
to anyone? It can be anything, right? Anything but
Wheelman.
Let's be honest. I'd probably just put on
Wheelman. My name's Milo Wheelman. I'm a wheelman. 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 Wheelman.